Scott, dude, a pump. We're talking about God of War. Do you call it 3 now at this point? What would you call that? 2018, you have the reboot. Then you get into Ragnarok. And this is going to be the third one, right? It's the follow-up to Ragnarok. Santa Monica Studio job listing appears to confirm a new God of War game. Haha, absolutely. This is Virage over at Game Rant. A recent job listing on Santa Monica Studios' website hints at a new God of War game in development. The God of War series capped off the Norse saga with 2022's Ragnarok, which was followed up by 2023's free-to-play Valhalla DLC, which was incredible. Dude, what a game mode. I was hooked there for a long time. Hard, man. It's hard. Man, those game modes are tough. A new God of War game is all but confirmed to happen. The Santa Monica job listing hints that the work has started on the next chapter of the tentpole PlayStation franchise. The studio is looking to hire a quest designer for an unannounced character-centric action game, with requirements stating that the successful candidate must have a, quote, personal understanding of God of War games, end quote. Boy, Scott, I wonder what they're up to.
Yeah, really. Well, a strong single-player game could explain a lot of different games under the PlayStation umbrella, but
Sure.
only one is named God of War.
Absolutely. While other recent reports of SMS job listings for a senior combat designer, quote, fluent with the combat design choices, systems, mechanics, and enemies in God of War 2018 and Ragnarok 2022, could be dismissed as a opening for Cory Barlog's unannounced game, which nobody knows anything about yet, Scott. That's the other hook, right? However, the quest designer listing outright states knowledge of God of War lore as a requirement, so it's kind of a dead giveaway right there. This makes the case for a new God of War title in development even stronger, as they would only require such expertise in the constitution of the critically acclaimed franchise. The discovery of the next God of War game in the works is indeed exciting, but one that doesn't come as much of a surprise. God of War, dude, God of War did well. God of War Ragnarok, what a beautiful game. What an incredible experience. One of the best games. Man, like everything first party studio that keeps coming out of PlayStation just crushes it, man. So when you rebooted God of War back in 2018, loved it. Fell in love. What a game. Dude, the World Snake, he's just, the way he talks.
So impressive, man. That game gave me goosebumps.
It's so damn good. And then Ragnarok comes up, and then it follows up such a heartfelt Kratos that we're just not used to. Like, even 2018, you see him breaking down a little bit. Ragnarok takes us to a whole other level. And then the way it ends, like, no spoilers, but you just kind of wonder what direction they're going to go to next, right? They're set up certain key elements that are going, do we see Kratos? Right? That is the big question right there is, can you have, let me ask you this, Scott, can you have another God of War game without Kratos?
I don't think so. I think it changes too much if you take Kratos out. It has been a couple decades now, but unless he's replaced by another almost as brutal or more brutal God of War, I don't think it could be the same. However, that said, Kratos himself is breaking down. He's not as sharp as he used to be. He's not as hard as he was. So that could be a more of a softened character if he were to stay. So I think there's a crossroad here. Some people are going to get pushed away. I think the game has gone on for too long, and others will be just happy to eat up more.
I can't wait to eat up more.
Latter.
Yeah, eat up more, dude. I'm all in. But it's so early. Like, eat up more is on PlayStation 6. So I wouldn't worry about it, right? PlayStation 5 won't likely see this. It'll be a PlayStation 6. What if it's a PlayStation 6 launch title? That's, man, you want to come out. That would
be a strong one.
Right? Either that or you get Spider-Man 3. Like, there's huge opportunities here for what PlayStation could be queuing up for the next platform of their choice, which is going to be PlayStation 6 regardless, I'm sure. But it is opportunities here for Sony Santa Monica to get into something really, really special. Do they pass the baton off, right? We've even, when you wrapped up 2018's God of War, you wonder how much Atreus would take over in the story and how fluent he would become in the storyline itself. You see more development of that process in Ragnarok, and it just kind of went, huh? Like, man, what other stories could they peel off of, right? There's a lot of setup for other opportunities for introduction and new characters, which always blows my mind. You always go, man, how much more could they really do? How much more can they push? There's a huge huge opportunity for them here to push an absolute ton when it comes to God of War and how they set themselves up for the Norse mythology. So it's Corey Barlog. What's that?
Does he have any enemies left though?
right. That's it. Yes, I'm gonna say yes. I'm sure they'll come up with something.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. There's definitely some.
There's other cultures you could go into, but that becomes scary and dicey and not something that would be safe maybe.
Yeah.
As a commercial choice.
Corey Barlog stated when they first started doing the reboot of God of War that they wanted to make it in 2 games, not 3. Right? They didn't want to do a trilogy. So they were able to wrap up between 1 and 2 going into Ragnarok and wrap up a story where if they wanted to, dude, they could walk, right? And just leave the ending to your imagination of possibilities. Which way do they go? Who do they go with? Which way do they want to, carry that story? Or how do you feel that the story ended, really, is kind of what it comes down to. And then when you get into what the next one is going to be, do they jump time periods? Do they jump into something else? Do they jump to different characters? Right? Like, man, we are introduced to Thor and his family. How does that set up for the future? Is that even there anymore? There's so many other questions. I love God of War. It was funny because I never really cared back in the day when God of War was around until the reboot came, where he's got this father-son connection, right? And I've got 3 boys, so there's definitely more of a connection there. So it's just, I felt like Kratos was more grounded and more real and more believable than he's ever been, instead of just yelling and crushing through everything. My brother, on the other hand, absolutely played all of them, loved ripping off heads and all that kind of stuff. But then it's presented as you go along too, obviously in the newer ones, some of the killer moves, like the finishing moves and stuff, are insane. So I'd love to see him make his way back over to Mortal Kombat.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's he really
once.
fits right in there.
Yeah,
I'm wondering
does.
now, is there any culture I could think of that has another God of War? But I can't think of. I'm not very well versed in a lot of mythology across different cultures, but
Sure.
I'm thinking of another God of War comes and threatens to take Atreus away, and that causes Kratos. He must come back from wherever he is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of possible storylines, and you could go for almost forever.
You could. Honestly, Ragnarok was a pretty lengthy game, too. Like, I was surprised how long that went on. I was surprised how long 2018's game was in length. I'm wondering how far they go. And as far as making it 30 hours, are we 60 hours? Are we 80 hours? Like, how much further do they want to push this? Do they want to give us 1 game? Or are they going to split it up into 2 more parts? Or they bring now into that return to a trilogy, right? Like, there's a lot of things that they could really kind of slip into and then bring off. Maybe, do we get like little side stories? Like little, like, you remember when you got Grand Theft Auto China Wars, right? Like, you got these little spin-offs. Dude, you could do that with some of these characters here. Like, Freya's in there, right? Like, man, you could give us a whole story just on her alone, and I'd be down for that, because I can only imagine her journey and stuff. It was super cool to get her, the introduction of her in the first game, and then have her carry over into the second game. Man, right? Because when you kick into the second game, this is no spoilers by any means, but when you kick in, dude, she's literally hunting you down. I was like, oh, yeah, it is sick. It is absolutely incredible. But either way, God of War can't come back fast enough, but unfortunately it's going to be a couple more years yet. But make sure, stay tuned to ITG Daily every day, where we bring you more news each and every day. And of course, ITGTV.com.